Right. So when it comes back, I know I hear this like it's more aggressive when it comes back. Was that your case or not?
It was aggressive for the fact that I was currently on chemo and it came back.
Yeah.
So again, surgery was like
probably
the
not
automatic,
common.
like,
Right.
yeah.
Because as soon as they went in, I mean, the TV monitors there, I could see.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what it was and knew what needed to happen again. But it was hard because I thought, I felt like I was kind of getting on the downhill side because it went from 6 weeks of chemo. After that period of time, then it would be 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it would slow, as long as you go through it and things are okay, it lessens. But I had to start all over again.
Yeah.
So that was really frustrating to me because, again, I put a lot of emphasis on the gym, but again, mental therapy. And I thought, okay, I'm being knocked down one more time.
Yep.
And I thought, what the hell? Why is this happening again? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I feel like I eat right, try to exercise, drink plenty of water.
Sure.
So you were trying to solve the problem with looking into what you were doing.
Right. Right. And you asking some of the questions, other podcasts that I listen to, and I listened to one that's Ryan Sternagel, the anti-cancer revolution.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we can make the situation worse for ourselves, environmental, some of the things that you eat.
Sure.
Stress definitely does not help.
And surprisingly, even breathing. I just listened to a podcast that Joe Rogan did, and he was talking about breathing. And the thing is that I realize about my breathing, especially in the gym, is that I don't breathe. I hold my breath, and I never remember doing that before.
I've had to remind you multiple times.
I never remember doing that before my brain injury.
Yeah.
So I need to focus on more breathing in my nose and out my mouth.
Yeah. There are specific breathing exercises that you can do that will oxygenate your body, help your cellular respiration, help you get rid of metabolic waste. But it's a practice.
Yeah.
It's another type of exercise that you
kind of like
use.
yoga or something.
Right? Sure. Because I've read, when I find out something like this that I have, I'm doing all the research I possibly can.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way.
I don't want to rely on chemo to fix me because all the other side effects are going to kill me.
Yeah. So you have to combat the side effects.
Yeah. So now what can I do? Because I just had a cousin recently who passed away as a result of cancer, but it was basically the chemo side effects that actually killed him.
Yeah.
So those types of things, it's like, what can I do? How can I help myself? So I feel like meditation.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I really think it's important that people can pull themselves away for just a minute. And my wife, I like to take pictures. You see it on my Instagram. I enjoy just taking pictures. It's my getaway to see the world.
Sure.
And
plus you're surrounded by, usually you're surrounded by nature, and that's kind of
therapeutic.
The same thing that I get from the gym, I get from going out and taking pictures.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do with the pictures. Again, it's another therapy. I get out, even if it's for an hour, I just go out. It's that old saying, take time to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, when you feel like you've been almost given a death sentence, you look at life differently.
Totally.
You look at life differently. You realize
like that.
What does matter.
It's like that song, Live Like You Were Dying.
Exactly.
As cheesy as that song might be, it's true. Yeah, this is the perfect correlation or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, because I've listened to the song too, and it's like, if you were told you're going to die, what would you do?
Yeah.
And it's like, if that's anything I could encourage any of the listeners to, take time to realize what's important.
Right.
It's not your job.
That's awesome.
It's your family. It's yourself. It's your health. Because if you don't have good health, everything else goes right down the toilet.
Totally. That's what I preach. That's why I have a gym.
That's what John's all about.
And sometimes you actually have to prioritize some of those things because, of course, people do have to make money. They do have to support family and all that kind of stuff. But if you can't prioritize your health in there, I mean, I have so many people that are like, I just don't have enough time. I'm too busy or Here's a great example. They call this Einstein time. So I learned this in a book several years ago. So let's say one of your kids comes up to you and says, hey, Dad, you're working on like a really deep project, right? Something that you have to get done. Maybe you have a timeline. Your boss says it needs to be done by the next day, right? And your kid comes up and says, hey, will you go throw a ball with me, play catch? And you're like, well, I'm working. I can't do this. You put it off. The kid keeps coming back saying that. So in your mind, you're thinking, I don't have time for this kid. But what if the kid walked up, lifts up his hand and says, Dad, I'm missing a finger and it's bleeding everywhere. Yeah. All of a sudden you have time. The time didn't change at all. But all of a sudden you do have time. Your priority changed. That you need to get that kid to the hospital. Unless you think that you can glue it back on yourself, right? Unless you're the surgeon yourself. But right? So that the time didn't actually change, just your perception of the time changed. You prioritized what was most important in that moment.
Yep.
So sometimes you have to prioritize those things. People that work from home, you're going to need to put some time aside for your kids, for your health, outside of your work time. You know what I mean? But anyways, that has helped me a ton.
Yeah.
If you don't take time, it's going to find you.
Oh, yeah. You'll be forced.
It's going to make you take that time.
Yeah.
Because for me, with the cancer diagnosis and then it coming back again the second time, again with the gym, and before that I used to be a runner all the time until I started having back problems.
That's surprising because your muscle definition and stuff like that, it's just like I wouldn't picture you as being a runner.
When we're done, I'll show you a picture of 160 pounds because I was running about 11 miles every day. It definitely changes. So it's like, okay, I can change myself. So I adapted to a different situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, going back to what you said, it's if you don't stop and take the time, it's going to find you. So this is where I learned other things that I could kind of give myself my own mental therapy, what I could do. And I think I told Shane that, I try to be strong for my wife, my family, and at the time for my parents. I didn't want everybody to see my fear or my fear of what could happen to me. I mean, when the cancer came back the second time, I started doing things around the house, changing things, thinking, okay, if I pass away, I want to make it so my wife could take care of the place.
Wow.
There's just all those different things. But you go to bed at night and, I have my meltdown.
Yeah.
I have my meltdown. I cry.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, got to get up because I got to be a man again.
That's how I was in the hospital every night. It's as soon as you lay down to go to bed, it like hits you.
I think there's a balance there, right? There's a balance of there's a level of acceptance, but then there's also a level of resistance, right? And balancing that out, I think, can be really tough depending on the person and depending on what they're going through. But in terms of cancer, when you know that this could be the end, right? So you're making preparations. There's a level of acceptance there that you're like, okay, I'm going to start preparing for everybody else like you are with your family. But then there's also that level of resistance, and they're like, but I don't want this to happen.
Yeah,
that's really a tough place to be.
Like that is almost denial also. Like you don't want to accept it. It's just if you think about it enough, it will go away. Or
I saw that with my sister. She passed away from stomach cancer when she was 30, and she didn't even reach her 31st birthday. It was pretty tough for our whole family. That's the thing. She ate healthy. She exercised. She was like you would seem a very healthy, fit, outgoing, person.
Exactly.
And yet, it attacked her really fast. And it was, once she was diagnosed, it was already stage 4, and it went really fast. She dropped a ton of weight. It went up. The stomach cancer went up into her throat, ended up in, she couldn't eat. So she pretty much starved. Right. And there was a huge level of denial where she kept thinking in her mind, like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm going to get over this. I'm going to get it. And same with her husband. Like they literally were thinking that, oh, this is going to pass. This is going to pass. And we're like, you're on hospice care now.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what I mean? Yeah. All the rest of us could see it happening. And it was.
I think there's always that bit of hope.
Which we need.
That's like something's going to change.
That's like the never quit attitude. like your sister was in that never quit attitude, and she should have realized there is a time to accept things and stuff.
I think
like
she finally did, and I don't think her husband did until after.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, I think it was still a shock.
I'm sure, because you're always thinking that way.
Yeah, he was just like, no, she's going to pull through. Yeah. She's going to pull through, and even after she passed, I think he was just still thinking like, this doesn't make sense. Like,
it's a lot to absorb.
Oh, totally.
I mean, it's a lot to absorb everything that's going on in your life, and most of us, I think, are taught, and I think it's just human nature to be a fighter.
Sure.
Yeah.
To fight, and you've got to take care of this. And
if a problem comes, you try and find the solution.
And I've got an amazing wife. She was literally right by my side all the time.
That's awesome.
And I hope she knows I appreciate it, but there would be a lot of times I needed to push her away.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much, I can do it myself. I don't need help.
Yeah.
And it's not in a bad way or anything, but she was always there. Whenever I needed anything, she was right there. But there would be a lot of times that, sorry, it makes it hard to talk.
Yeah.
That I didn't want her to see me a vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
Where I was losing it because I felt like I needed to stay strong for her. I didn't want it to scare her.
Yeah.
Even though I'm sure she was.
Well, she sounds like a strong person.
She is.
And you got somebody good there by your side. We all need that support. That's another thing that we need to realize is that this isn't just our trial here on earth.
Yeah.
We have each other to lean into and to help.
And that's so powerful.
Very.
Like, if you ever have been in a situation that your family pulled together and helped you out of that situation, it's just the realization that people are able to do that is so mind-blowing.
Right. I remember listening to the podcast with your mom and how everybody was right there all the time to help, your brother's birthday.
Yeah.
All those different types of things that you've got going on in your life. I mean, I've got 3 sons, always right there. One lives at home, the other 2 are gone, but text, how are you? Call me, how are you, Dad? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do?
Yeah.
Did that get more like that after he got diagnosed with cancer, or were they always doing that?
I've got awesome boys. I really do. I can say that's one of my biggest accomplishments, I feel, is to raise kind and respectful boys or men as they are now.
Yeah, that's great.
But they've always been that way. They see the need. They just go do it.
That's awesome.
Which has always been good. But I think with the cancer, I don't know. They don't really say a whole lot. They're kind of quiet like their mom, but I'm sure they were scared too. But I didn't want them to see that I was scared for myself because I thought, okay, if I go, what are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
I mean, they're adults.
Right.
But still, to lose a parent isn't easy.
It's hard. Yeah. I've been there. It's only been a year. In fact, this 4th of July was the we call it a death anniversary of my father. And you always think you have more time.
You do. My mom just passed away April 28th. I had just finished chemo, and I think I had one more round to do. And my father-in-law got sick, did a surgery on his heart, and he ended up passing away on March 2nd.
Wow.
So that was difficult. It actually hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. And then my mom, I got a phone call that she had had a stroke.
Yep.
They did surgery on her, but it had already done its damage.
Yeah.
So they brought her home, put her on hospice, and we were there the week with her until she passed.
And she was on hospice for 1 week?
1 week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, because they said after bringing her home that she would probably only make it a week.
Those hospice workers, I never really realized what they do, but they're not a death sentence or whatever like people think they are. They're just there to make your time more meaningful.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to be a hospice worker.
Yeah,
definitely. Because you see a lot of people go.
Yep, they are definitely the strong, I would say, some of the angels.
Yeah, for sure.
That can come in and do that kind of stuff. But to know the outcome is never going to be good. And to see people when they're the most vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
and how it can affect people.
Can you imagine the conversations that they have with the